All right, you sexy, wonderful, beautiful people, you. We are back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today we're going to be doing the Grand Hero Battle builds video for our girl Marni. Now, someone really, really likes this character because they gave her artwork is really good. I like it. It's a very cute pose there that she's got. She has one of those big smash weapons again that we've been seeing on these Engage artworks constantly. Like Lapis had one as well. So are they ever going to just bite the big one and give us an actual smash weapon in Fae? Would be pretty awesome if it has like built-in smite on the enemy or like built-in shove on the enemy or whatever they want to do with it. So there we go for Marni, and if we go ahead and take a look at her stats, she is now the highest scoring free-to-play unit in the game with a 205 BST. Absurd amounts of stats here. So 49 HP, 46 attack, 20 speed, 50 defense, and 40 res. And she's got triple super boons on attack, defense, and res. So pretty much all three of the stats you would want to give super boons to, she has them. So perfect stats. Then we go down here. She has a perf weapon, Praise Pioneer Axe. It's effective against flying. I don't know why it's effective against flying, but okay, sure, we'll take it. Then we also get defense up 3, and we get adaptive damage, which is very good. Then also at the start of turn, if her HP is over 25%, she's giving defense and res up 6, and a status effect that nullifies enemies' bonuses during combat to herself and allies in 2 spaces for 1 turn. So here's another thing to check off the list. Supporting. Like, what are all these good Grand Hero Battle units doing right now? Is they're giving support. So Fallen Lloyd would be the other example. He does debuffs to the enemies, but here we're getting buffs to our own units, which is very good. And a very rare status buff as well. Neutralize enemy bonuses during combat. That is not common. In fact, I can't even like think off the top of my head who else does this. So yeah, a very, very good effect there. Neutralizing enemy bonuses, of course, is going to stop them from stat stacking like crazy, especially if they have like bonus doubler and things like that. Okay, then also if the foe initiates combat or if the foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, then you inflict a penalty on their attack, defense, and res equal to 5 plus 15% of units' defense at the start of combat, and reduce damage from their attacks by 15% of defense during combat as well. So we got flat DR and then insane amounts of stat padding there with 15% based on defense. Then also, if the foe's HP, or if unit's HP is over 1 and the foe would reduce HP to 0, then you survive with 1 HP. So we have built-in Miracle as well. And also, if the foe initiates or they have over 75% at the start of combat, then we recover 7 HP after combat. So just, again, another area where Marni excels. Her perf weapon, she has one. Not every GHB is lucky enough to get one, but then not only does she have one, it's freaking awesome, right? Like, this is a really good weapon. You got healing, you got supporting, you got stat buffing, adaptive damage, effective damage, even though flying is not really the ideal choice. If they were going to give her effective against Cav, I think that would have mattered, but, like, I can't think of too many matchups where she's going to be fighting flying units anyway, so that's like just a toss-in. And then the Miracle is really nice, and the flat DR and the flat stats based on defense is really good. Okay, then for her passives, we have Ignis, and then we have Attack and Defense Prime 3 and Wary Fighter 3. Bro, like, seriously, she just wins in every category. Every possible thing a Grand Hero Battle unit can excel at, she does. So, stats, highest out of all the Grand Hero Battles. Super Boons, all of the relevant stats you would want. Weapon is amazing, perf weapon included, and it just kicks so much ass. And then for passives, even, she's got Attack and Defense Prime 4, so she's good for fodder. Yeah, like, just straight up, Marni is the best Grand Hero Battle unit in the game, in my opinion, right now. So, now let's do a little comparison between her and contemporary unit Valentine Vigarde, who, up until this point, I would say was the best Axe Armor Grand Hero Battle besides Marni. So, stat-wise, of course, he's getting 5 extra flowers, so I put the flowers on both units to make it fair. So, she's got 50 HP, he's got 53, so he's got a little bit more HP. They both have the same attack. Both of them have 47 attack. This guy's got 28 speed, which is really needless. Like, that's a lot of unnecessary points wasted by giving it to speed, whereas Marni's got 21. Much better for a dump stat, so she can get better points in other places. Then we got 51 defense versus 49 defense, which is also pretty huge. I think Marni might even have the highest base defense in the game. I can't recall any other unit that has 50 base defense. So again, like another area where this unit wins. And then we have 41 res, which is going to blow Vigarde out of the water. He's only got 33. This is relevant because right now the best near attacking unit, Felix, has adaptive damage. So you don't want to be trailing on res really badly if you're a near save unit. You want your res to be competitive. So 41 res is very good, whereas 33 res is not so good. So there we go. Marni is easily better than the contemporary. Okay, here we have score creep, or like score calculating for arena mode. Winter Byleth scores the exact same as the brand new Marni. Can you believe that? This is a premium duo hero that is not even a year old yet. He's like 9 months old. And still, Marni, a free-to-play unit, has just score crept this guy. Well, not score crept, but score ties with this guy. I think that's like absurd, right? Like, that's outrageous. The fact that a free-to-play unit is now scoring on this level. So, obviously, nothing else compares. Vigarde is 4 points less because he lacks a perf weapon. Panette is kind of close, but she's an infantry type, so her BST is lower. And then Kana, of course, has the advantage of high Dragon Wall, but that's not enough to save her from her BST being way lower, and also her lack of a perf weapon. So, Marni, man. Way to go, Marni. Pining for praise, and you're getting all of it in this video. Alright, so here we go. Now we're going to take a look at builds. I have 2 really good builds, and then one is more like kind of in question. I don't know if in question is the right way to put it, but a lot of skills that you could possibly be giving to her I feel like are just obsolete. So like Gambit, for example, I wanted to show off a build with Gambit on her because her weapon does not have -1 special trigger. But I feel like Gambit is just not as good as some of the passives that we have right now, which is crazy because Gambit was like one of the craziest skills from last year, and it's not even holding up anymore. So here's the first build. Of course, we're going for a near save build. So def res near save, like I said, Felix has adaptive damage, so you're going to want to have some res on your near saving units now. Shield Fighter is kind of awkward to use on her because, like I said, she lacks -1 special trigger, so you can't just run like Shield Fighter and Pavis on her without having like some kind of support somewhere. So instead, we got to go for Marthring and Escutcheon. So Escutcheon's got 30% true DR on near attacks as opposed to 50 like with Pavis, but it's going to be more consistent with Shield Fighters, so that's why we're going for that. Now, if you really want to go for Pavis, you could just go for it, and then what you would do is this. So we equip Pavis here, and then we would have to go for Hardy Fighter, take it old school, as opposed to going for Escutcheon and Shield Fighter. The difference here is that Hardy Fighter doesn't really protect you against Brave attacks and Desperation attacks, whereas Shield Fighter does. So I think Shield Fighter in the long run is going to be a little bit better. But if you want to go for Pavis, get that bigger DR on the enemy's first attack, Hardy Fighter will probably do you exactly what you want. Okay, so let's go back to Shield Fighter now, and also Escutcheon. And I guess if you really wanted to support Pavis, like if you've got allies that have special acceleration to allies, like who would be doing that? Regan's like grandpa, what's the name of that guy again? Nidavellir, like he can give special cooldown support at the start of every turn. There's also the Asker units that can do it, and then I mean, it's very common. There's a lot of units that just give special acceleration to allies. So if you wanted to run Pavis Shield Fighter, you could. You just have to like run a lot of support to get it to work. But just for like efficiency's sake, I've just built this build to work on its own. All right, then we have Stronghold, which is very important for her because it nullifies Panic and debuffs to defense and res. She's already self-buffing her defense and res at the start of turn. So if the enemies have Panic, you can just give them the middle finger with that. Harsh Command plus whatever, like just run whatever assist you want. Like Swap and Pivot are good options for armors as well. And then Def Res Form as the seal, which is going to give us the most amount of defense and res. You could also try HP 5, Defense Res 3. Like that's another possible seal, but I think just getting more defense and res raw is probably a little better. And then Guard Echo, because we don't have Guard on the build, so just get some extra DR and inflict Guard on the foes. Okay, here we go. This is a very fun-looking build. If I could choose a build to give to her, I would probably go for this one. Even though it's not, like, going to be as obvious as, like, the near-save build. I could see a lot of value for something like this, particularly in arena mode. So we have Armored Blaze as our special with the Celica Ring, so she can warp in and just ignore the low movement of armor-type units. Then we've got Fortifications here, which is going to give her 6 defense and res in combat, as well as 10 flat DR against enemy specials. And it's going to also allow us to set up earth tiles after we attack the foe. So a very, like, well-balanced skill here. It's giving us offense and defense a little bit, and then it's also going to protect us on the enemy phase with the stone tile support. So really good skill there. Then we have Reopening again for, like, Lagu's friend off of infantry type, basically. I was thinking to give her Gambit 4 on this build, because obviously 15 points of true damage is really nice. She doesn't have -1, and you could just go for Aether. But why go for pierceable DR on Gambit when we could get non-pierceable DR with Reopening, right? Like, we're getting 20% non-pierceable DR based on defense and 20% bonus damage based on defense with Reopening, so that's, in my opinion, better than Gambit. And the only downside to Reopening is that if you have a guaranteed follow-up or a Brave attack, then it's only 10%, but we have Bold Fighter here for the player phase, but it's not giving us enemy phase guaranteed follow-up. So on the enemy phase where we really need it, Reopening is going to have the full 20% DR, and then on the player phase, it's going to be 20 or 10% DR and 10% bonus damage. So that's perfectly fine, and what we're getting out of Bold Fighter is just better. Like, it's worth cutting our DR in half. So we get a guaranteed follow-up, and then we get Acceleration, which allows Armored Blaze to be a little bit more consistent here. You could also do this, too. If you wanted to be even more protected, you could go for Ike Ring, which is essentially just Aegis built into a special. So Armored Blaze gives us near protection, Ike Ring gives us far protection, and Mercy Wing Echo would have us covered for the warping, but in arena mode, it's a little inconsistent, so I think Celica Ring is probably better for arena. Mercy Wing, though, will definitely get the job done for Aether Raids, where you can control how low your HP is going to get with skills like Fury 3, Fury 4. The Bolt Trap is another thing. Like, the Bolt Tower may be on offense. It's rare, but sometimes it's there. So you can get your own HP as low as you want. You could also set it up, too, with, like, Bernadetta and combos with, like, Reciprocal Aid and things like that. So Mercy Wing Echo, definitely the ideal Echo skill here. And then Attack Wave N is actually really good on Marni, because she's already giving defense and res up 6 to allies. Why not add attack to that as well? Let's give all allies attack, defense, and res up 6, and then in combat drive attack up 6 if it's an even number turn. +5 true damage if she has more attack than the foe, which she probably does. And then we get some healing as well to combo with her Miracle Effect. So really awesome build, really versatile build too. You could do a lot of things here as well. You could run save on this too if you want. If you're going to run her for like a Gale Force comp in Aether Raid's offense. Like, let's say your Aether Raid's offense attackers are not able to kill the foes in one turn. You could just warp in with Marni and then protect the team with save at that point. Right? So, like, if you don't finish off all the enemies, then you can just enemy phase them afterwards, which is pretty cool. So, there we go for that build. And then finally, we have this, like, obsolete build. I mean, Weaving Fighter, of all of the pierceable DR skills, I think Weaving Fighter is probably the best one. But, like, Gambit 4, Weaving Fighter, like, all these skills with pierceable DR have fallen off a cliff with the amount of damage reduction cut and damage reduction negation that we're getting on units now. Like, every single refine from the last batch had damage reduction negation or piercing. So, like, pierceable DR is just out of here, but we can just run it just to show it. Special Fighter gives us guard and acceleration. Near save once again. Unity, because it's just an alternate method. I wanted to show off some different skills here. So instead of running, like, what was it called again? Stronghold to nullify panic and debuffs, we can just turn debuffs into a bonus with Unity, which is good. And then Armored Blaze once again, just to get some more, like, special, non-pierceable DR on special there for the enemies. With Marth Ring, of course, because she doesn't have -1. So there you guys go. Those are some builds for Marni. Like I said, this one looks like the most fun for sure. But this is probably going to be the most practical in the long run. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm definitely going to build Marni as soon as they add her to the Grail Shop. So that's going to wrap us up for this video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And I will catch y'all again on the flip side.